Hi everyone. So I decided to go live maybe just like a minute or two early. This video will be pretty short. I do have some clips, but basically I saw this clip and I'm going to play it pretty much right away and then we'll talk about it over on Twitter earlier. This person, it is a trans woman, male to female, apparently has had all the bottom surgery, everything. Not sure how long they've been living, as a trans female. But I've kind of seen them on and off over on Twitter. They have some pretty good takes, but I started to realize that what's actually going on with this person is they are acting to be somewhat of a, let me try to put this the right way. They're pretending or they're acting or they are maybe perceiving themselves as some sort of ally to biological women. And then they're expecting something in return. So let me go ahead and play this first clip, and that will kind of show you why I'm saying that and why I think this.
Excuse me, like I just kind of feel like, especially when I as a trans woman am going out of my way to fight for a lot of these women's rights to not be called cis women when they want to be called biological women, which I totally understand.
Okay, so that clip was of a longer video that I believe, was posted either today or yesterday or something. But if you listen to that clip, you can kind of see the entitlement aspect that I'm talking about, where the longer video is about this person wanting to maybe someday adopt children and then go on to celebrate Mother's Day. And the fact that they think that biological women should somehow co-sign on the fact that they want to celebrate Mother's Day. And instead, what they're hearing is that women, apparently mostly on the right, think that they should celebrate Parents' Day instead. So it's kind of interesting. But what you see in that video is basically, they're saying, I go out of my way to help advocate or try to protect the rights of biological women to be called biological women instead of cis women. And because of that, I should be getting the thing I want in return, which is kind of funny because if you're ever advocating for somebody and what you actually want is something in return for yourself, that is not going to be perceived as genuine. That's not going to be perceived as, you actually doing the thing because that's what you believe. There's like an entitlement factor there, and there's a wanting like some sort of betrayal. So I thought that alone was kind of funny because if you really care about biological women, as you want to call them, I don't care what anybody calls me. You can call me a cis woman, a biological woman. You can call me a double trans person, a woman who identifies as a man who identifies as a woman, that I often like to say. You can call me anything, and it doesn't matter to me because it doesn't change the fact that I'm just an actual woman. And also, it doesn't really matter. Like the label doesn't matter. To me, life is a lot more about like, do you want to be put in a box? Is there a certain box that you feel like you have to fit in or something? That has a lot more to do with the person. Other people maybe see life like that, as opposed to how I see life. So I don't really care. I'm just me. My son obviously knows I'm his mom. He's going to tell me Happy Mother's Day. And that's it. That's all that matters. So, and if he wants to call me my name like he sometimes does, I really don't care. And if he wants to tell me Happy Person Day because he learns it at school, I also really don't care. A lot of people are getting their identities as a person instead of wrapped up in like, oh, okay, am I a good person? Do I have good morals? Do I stand up for what I believe in? All the attributes. Am I trustworthy? Am I always there for my kids? Do I work hard? People, instead of getting wrapped up in those attributes of self, they're getting very wrapped up in labels and categories that do not matter. So I don't subscribe to that. But what this person is doing basically is saying that they do some type of advocacy for some type of rights for biological women, to be called what they want to be called, and because that they deserve something in return, which that's not a good look. So they should probably just not do that anymore. But there is some other questions that I have there also. It's like, I guess I don't know what the rules are with adoption and everything. I had made a tweet that was kind of rude, I guess, but basically I said, as this person believes that they can adopt children, or imagine the fact that this person can adopt children, but I actually I can't, adopt through foster care or anything, just because I don't vaccinate my animals. I don't know if anybody's looked into this other than me, but basically, if you want to adopt children through foster care, at least in my state, that's actually a requirement that you vaccinate your animals. You have to provide vaccine records for all your animals. And since I am an anti-vaxxer and have a vaccine-free now household, ever since my son was injured by vaccines, it is kind of insane to me to realize that because of that, I wouldn't be able to adopt a child. But a person who is obviously living their life on a laundry list of pharmaceuticals, has some sort of mental health disconnect, no offense to transgender people, but there is something there. They obviously have to see a psychiatrist for this stuff, at least in the beginning, that they would be able to adopt children. But, I couldn't, just because I don't vaccinate my pets. So I thought that was pretty wild. But back to the Parents' Day thing. Here's my thought there. So this person, when and if they do ever, have a child, get a child from, an adoption route, they are free to tell the child that it's Mother's Day and ask to be wished Happy Mother's Day. They are free to call it Person Day. They're free to do whatever they want in their house when it comes to what their child calls them and how they celebrate the holidays. Why on earth do they think that they need people on the internet to co-sign on which holiday they decide to, celebrate for themselves with their children? It doesn't make any sense. I don't ask people on the internet permission before I celebrate Christmas, and I don't ask them permission before I don't celebrate other religions' holidays. Like, I don't celebrate Hanukkah. I don't celebrate any pagan holidays. I don't celebrate any Islamic holidays. And I don't ask anyone's permission to celebrate the holidays I choose to celebrate in the way that I choose to celebrate them with my child. And I don't ask their permission to not celebrate other holidays. So it's a little bit bizarre that this person has some type of need to have other people co-sign on which holidays they celebrate and how. But I'm going to play a couple other video clips because they put up another, couple of little, like, I think there was even more than one video today and everything, kind of like, again, like reaction to this, because it's very obvious that this person wants to be accepted for who they perceive themselves as. And I think there's an issue here, a larger issue, again, like I said, that a lot of people have, where if you look at somebody like Blair White, when you think of like trans people, she had kind of, and I said she, I could say they, I could say whatever, but had kind of paved the way for themselves as being that person and, advocating for the difference between transgender people and, biological people, and didn't ever really ask for anyone's permission. Never asked anybody to necessarily co-sign on their personal identity, just kind of showed back and mirrored to them when it didn't make any sense, So I think a lot of people try to emulate that, but you have to have like really a sense of self of like it doesn't matter what other people think to really go out and live life in that way. And if instead, if you're always apologizing, you're always seeking approval, or you always want somebody else to call you like a certain pronoun or do a certain thing and everything, then you definitely lose that power. And all of a sudden, then you're like groping. You're trying to get other people basically to affirm who you are, and it just never really a good look. So I'm gonna play another a couple clips here of this second video. So here we have this one.
Until the day I pass away, that I am a trans woman. I'm not a biological woman. I'm not a regular woman, however you want to phrase it. But I'm getting real tired of the right constantly insinuating that they're better than me, because you being a biological woman does not make you better than me as a trans woman. Nobody is better than anybody else. I don't know where this like hierarchy mentality is coming from, but it's kind of gross. Like in terms.
Okay. So that was, like a follow-up video, and they're basically complaining that, biological women on the right aren't doing what they want them to do again, and getting upset because it's nobody's better than anybody else. Well, I actually have news for you. No offense, Kelly, but some people are better than other people, like not intrinsically in their value, but in the way that they move throughout the world. Some people are very successful in the way that they move throughout the world and the way that they make the world what they want it to be, what they produce, how talented they are. People are not all equal. This is not equity or whatever. People are unequal, and they can be unequal on different aspects. One person could be a very great painter and terrible at math. Somebody else could be an amazing scientist and awful in their personal relationships. The world isn't equal. People aren't equal. Some people are better than other people. Obviously, if you're going to look at, and my conspiracy theory friends who I love, don't get hung up on the example, but just as a basic everyday example that people would use, if you're going to say, obviously, Hitler is a worse person than Mother Teresa, and I don't want to hear the conspiracies right now. I'm just using this as an example. Then you're going to say that person's better than that person. So there is some truth to people are not all equal. We are not all, just as good as each other. Some people probably are better than other people. And some people are definitely better at owning who they are as a person than other people. And that's why, not to be rude or critical or compare and contrast again, but if I say again, I see somebody like a Blair White who is non-apologetic about who they are and not asking for approval or basically, no offense, whining, then I would say that person is better at fulfilling their role and stepping into who they believe that they are, and other people perceive that confidence so much better than somebody who's like constantly either like not apologizing necessarily, but pandering for approval. So I'm gonna play a third clip now.
That you are not better than me. You're not. You being I know that like you need this. Like I really feel like it's a coping mechanism for a lot of biological women. They need that hierarchy status. They need to feel like they have one up on me. You think it's like this when really we're just equals. Everyone's equal. Man, woman, trans or not. You are not better than anybody else. And that's a real...
Okay. So there they kind of try to show, it's not like this and like this, it's like this. Well, that's not really true in different aspects. Some people are here, some people are down here. That is just reality. So again, but this person is having kind of like a desperate plea for people to see them as equal. This is kind of one of the issues that they have where they create victim mentality, and people, like I'm saying, through society, or people do this to themselves. When you have to beg somebody else to see you as equal instead of just showing the fact that you are equal or showing your value, then you've automatically lost. So as a person, I can't just go around and be like, oh, because I'm a woman, I'm automatically worse than men. Men are better. Men, you need to see me as just as valuable as you are. Otherwise, I'm going to get upset. That doesn't work like that. What I have to do if I want to be seen as valuable is own who I am as a person, own my role in this world, show the value that I bring to the table by actually doing valuable things. So this tactic of victim mentality and other people telling you where you belong in some hierarchy doesn't work. It doesn't work for women. It doesn't work for men. It doesn't work for trans women. It doesn't work for trans men. It doesn't work for anybody. It's not the way that you go about the thing. So I feel bad though, because actually I'm going to play this last clip. And I think what's really going on here is that this is a person who really needs to do some inner work. And instead of trying to do that inner work, they're looking out amongst the world to try to get external validation for themselves. And you're not always going to get that. So what's happening is they're getting their feelings very hurt. So I'm going to show this clip really quick.
Masculine, but whatever. I'm just sick of it. Even in terms of like everyone like talking about like, oh, my side profile or my Adam's apple or anything. It's like people will just like pick me apart, whether it's people on the left who can't stand my right-leaning takes or people.
Okay, so I didn't play that clip to be mean. I played that clip to show the fact that this is how this person thinks. This is how they perceive themselves. They're obviously have things they're self-conscious about. And I'm not going to say that everybody doesn't. Almost everybody does. But what you have to do if you want to be a resilient, strong person is take those, things that you're self-conscious about, those things that other people might point out as being less than ideal, and you need to own and accept them. And I talked about this in my video yesterday with Samantha. This is my concern with transgender people about why it's probably bad to give them surgery. And here's the thing. They obviously have something about themselves that they already have chosen not to accept. They've already decided that they can't even accept their gender that they were born and this is especially hard when they already have a very, nicely formed, functioning body. And I'm not saying like you have to be the biggest, strongest man or that you have to be the most petite, feminine woman to accept your body as being well formed and functional. But I'm just going to say if both your arms and legs work, if you don't have like already missing ovaries, missing testes, something like that. You can walk, you can talk, you can see, you can experience all the senses, and your mind works unencumbered by any like mental disorders other than thinking that you're the opposite gender. But like if your mind works very well as opposed to like having a learning disability that's very cumbersome or anything, then you've already won in life. Like you've already won the lottery once. Like this is such a gift. You are born into a well-formed, well-functioning body, and there has to be something mentally burdening you to really see that and think you want to change it to the extent where it becomes non-functional. And so I can already tell you that these people don't have like a high resilience factor because they're already ruminating on something about their body to the extent of wanting to change it surgically, not just to enhance or change the look of it a little bit, but in order to like completely destroy some of the functions and make it look aesthetically like something completely different. So my concern with them is that they're already not extremely resilient people who can accept, which that can take people years and years. There was probably things in life that I would have fought, never accepted. And I'm still like that to an extent. But even when they're outside my control, gotten upset about, really struggle with and everything, probably until my mid 30s. And especially dealing with my son with his autism, like knowing that that wasn't something I could just magically fix, because a lot of us think we want life to be a certain way. And when something comes up, we are going to have the answers. We're going to have the way. We're going to fix it. We're going to attack the problem. And we're not used to hearing like this just is the way that it is and you can maximize it and make it a little bit better. But at this point now that it's become what it is, like there's not a lot you can do to change it, as far as like, drastically 180. So until I really learned that, I would say I had that same mentality as somebody who would have thought like, oh, I can just change everything about myself and become somebody different. But that's maturity that takes you out of that. That's a very immature mindset. And so a lot of these people have a very immature mindset where they're thinking that the most important thing is how they look, how they are perceived, and they want to be seen in the world in a certain way. They want to alter their body so that it looks a certain way. And my concern with them is that that's not even good enough. So imagine the fact that you can change your whole entire body, that you can alter your gender, destroy your ability to, actually become a parent biologically, procreating with the person that you choose to be with. And yet you still won't be happy because you haven't gotten through that thing in your mind that says some things I just have to accept the way that they are naturally. And I can maximize them, but you shouldn't really try to fight reality. So if they're already outside of that, imagine, and this is something I talked about before, if they get a bad surgical outcome, how much more devastating that is, because they're already somebody who ruminates on the look, the feel, the everything of their body instead of accepting it, for what it is. Um, they're already somebody who gets it in their mind that they can change anything about themselves instead of practicing self acceptance. So I think it's very dangerous and predatory for the medical community to give these people surgery, knowing that they are likely not very resilient people who are just going to accept circumstances, work within them, and move forward. So I think that a lot of trans people would do a lot better to actually come to understand this. And it's true of everybody. We should probably try always harder to accept, the reality of the hand that we're dealt and then work within that realm instead of really hyper focusing on trying to change things that you ultimately can't actually change. And you don't really gain benefit from trying to change. Um, but that's all I have to say about that. I thought this video was pretty interesting. I don't dislike this person. I'm not trying to like crap on them or anything or be like really mean or nasty. I just saw this as a reason why I guess I had kind of tried to be very nice with the transgender community. I still do because I don't dislike them as people. I think a lot of them have been through traumas or very confusing circumstances in their life. And that's why they get pulled into thinking that they are a different gender. I think that the medical community comes along and preys on them and offers them surgeries, offers them hormones, gets them hooked on big pharma, and really alters how their body works. But I don't really like hold any type of like grudge against them or anything, but I'd always been very nice and I never really understood why some conservative women really did feel that these, trans women were like encroaching on their space or anything. But until I kind of started to see like these last couple of things pop up recently, and this video was one of them because what I saw was exactly that, a person who, obviously chooses to identify as a female that's a male and saying, well, look, I advocate for your right not to be called cisgender, when it really doesn't matter because to us, like, our rights really being taken away. Like, you're acting like you did something special for us, when we're just going about our day. Like, you didn't do anything special for us. That's a little bit weird. It seems like you're just kind of trying to like suck up to our side so that we will accept your identity of yourself. And that was the first time that kind of went off as like, oh, now I'm seeing why maybe women feel threatened and upset by this. She had some longer, and I'll call her she, I'll call her them, I don't know, but like had some longer video or like longer talks within that clip, I think, where the point was really, to say like even the bottom surgery that they've received, trying to say they get upset when conservative women say that that's not a vagina and that it's something else, it's like a surgical wound and all of these things and everything. And how bothered, they were by that. And I think that that's kind of like wherein lies the issue with some of the conservative women is like they feel a little bit like they're so asked to accept the thing as being the same as them when in reality we know that this is different, this is not the same. So I'm trying to be nice and I'm still going to be nice about it, but I do see where conservative women are coming from. They don't want to be erased by this agenda or told that they have to think a certain way, do a certain way for those people to be happy or for those people to, you know, um, accept the fact that there are biological women and there are trans women. So it was just a little bit weird, I think, whenever you're going to get very aggressive with a group of people and say, like, well, I did this for you, when in reality, you don't really do anything for us. Like, we're just going about our business, kind of confused about what's happening. And then you're also going to say, because I did this for you, you should accept that I want to celebrate Mother's Day, even though I don't even have any children and it really isn't an issue, And when you do have children, if you do adopt children, if you want to call it Mother's Day in your own house, you don't need every single person to co-sign on that. But it's a little weird to make a video kind of now demanding way ahead of time that people co-sign on the idea that you would call it Mother's Day. Call it whatever you want. No one's going to come to your house and take your card away from you or take your flowers and write person day on them. It's just like really weird. But yeah, I think that that's why women are so upset, because they feel like in some way, I guess, it's like a man basically is telling them what they have to do and what they have to accept, and saying, well, if you want me to, accept what you do or accept, your definition of yourself or something like that. Not that it matters because it doesn't change anything about, you know, actual women. But, if you want me to do this, then you have to do what I want. And it's like, I didn't really want any of this. So I don't know exactly why I have to do or say anything. Um, and I will say at the end of all of it, if transgendered people want to call themselves mother and celebrate Mother's Day, it also doesn't affect me at all. I'm not going to like protest that or anything. It has nothing to do with me. Obviously, those are, their kids that they adopt, that the state feels that they can raise. That has nothing to do with me or my child or our house or my Mother's Day. Or my Mother's Day or my friend's Mother's Day. So it really doesn't matter. So the whole thing is just bizarre. But those are my thoughts. I will see if anybody had any comments. I'm not sure. I don't know why I always have so much trouble when I'm in StreamYard figuring out the comments. Here we go. Okay, we didn't have any comments. But I want to thank you all so much. I am saving this video on my YouTube channel. I'm going to keep on talking about this subject, different subjects. Tomorrow, I'm going to do a video about Carnivore MD and how he's now just his own name, Paul Salandino, I believe is how you say it. And he's animal-based diet. So that's pretty good. It's kind of a win for moderation, living in moderation. And I'm going to do a live on that tomorrow. So that should be pretty fun. I was going to try to get some animal testicles for that, but I just don't know if I can bring myself to try to eat a testicle. Even though I see lots of men do it on carnivore pages all over the internet, and they make it look so easy. I just don't know if I have it in me. Last thing I will say, if you feel that you are the opposite gender, or if you feel depressed, or if you feel anxious, or if you feel like you don't have energy or you have health problems or anything, the first thing that I would really recommend is getting your lifestyle in order and dialed in, and getting your mind away from the idea that pharmaceuticals and going to the doctor is going to fix all of your problems. So, Samantha, who is the Quantum Revival, and I, we have a program. It is called the 6 week reset. The 6 week reset is a lifestyle based program. It's only 6 weeks long. You don't need to work with us forever, but we basically teach you how to look at life from a holistic approach. And that includes your health, your mental health, your family's health, your pet's health. We're going to do pet's health this week. And how to really, exercise your body correctly, make sure that you have proper posture, eat healthy foods, use healing nutrition, how to use herbalism if you have issues that come up as like a first line approach before you run to a physician. Um, how to use good habits like sleep and getting sunshine and stress management. And even Samantha does some really, really good breathing coaching. How to use those things as like front line instead of, again, running to the doctor. So if you're interested in that, I will put the link actually in the description. We have a new session starting July 3rd. It is 6 weeks long. We're in the middle of our May session now. That'll go to the middle of June. But if you do sign up now, we will send you all the documents up front and everything to get started, filling out your information and all of that. And then we can do like a one-on-one to kind of get you started, get your eating started correctly, as far as like figuring out your macros and everything that you should be on at this moment in time. That changes over time, and we'll teach you how to approach that, and how to, we'll give you your initial workouts. So if you have interest in that and you want to just message me, you can do that also, or just hit the link, and you just sign up through Eventbrite, and then I get an email and I'll send you all your documents. So thank you all so much, and I will be back tomorrow talking about Carnivore MD. Y'all have a fantastic rest of your day.